today we're talking about emotional literacy. A lot of this is review for many of you. But for those of you who are like, what are we talking about? Are we going to break out books and learn how to feel? No, that's not exactly what emotional literacy is. But let me tell you first, my name is Ashla VanHoose, and I am with the Ashland Regional Training Center. So I am an early childhood specialist, but my many years have been as a speech therapist, director of special education, 504 coordinator, preschool coordinator, kind of delved in everything. And after 25 years of it, I'm doing this. And so that's why I'm in front of you today. And you guys are all instructional assistants in schools, right? Okay, so school's going back really soon. I figure, I know up in the Pikeville way, it goes back next week. My son's in complete depression about it. He's going to be in 8th grade. But if we had less people, because it would take the entire hour that we have here today to go around and write our first name, because there's so many people in here. But for smaller groups, what I like to do is I came up with this. I saw this at Hobby Lobby, and I'm one of those people that gets lost in Hobby Lobby, you know. So I just wrote emotional check-in. You know, if you have little kids, you could put a little picture, you know, like a little arrow that said sign here. And after a while, kids are going to figure out that they got to go there and, you know, put their picture or something if they can't write. But this is just a really quick thing that you can print. If you don't have access to the printer, like many of us don't at schools, then you can have someone else do the printing for you. So I'm going to give you guys some really good resources today, and then I would recommend that you write them down. Remember them, because those will be good for you. And then if you have a teacher that you work with, a special ed teacher or a group, a team that you work with a lot, these resources are going to be good for you guys, because who doesn't have challenging behaviors that they deal with, if not daily, weekly? Okay. All right. I figured if you raised your hand, then I needed to know what your secret was, because obviously you knew more than any of us in this room, because I don't know anybody who's not been kicked, bit, hair pulled, all of that sort of thing. That's probably why we all wear our hair back. But challenging behaviors are here, and obviously that's why I'm standing in front of you. We're trying to figure out what we can do to help those kids, and that's why another reason we had this emotion potion. Okay, so what I would have done is had us all sign in. So how are we feeling? Your choices today? There are many, many emotions to feel, but we've got happy, we've got sad, we've got mad, and we've got tired. I know which one I am on a Friday. I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling tired. I'm barely here. I'm barely here. But here we go. All right, guys. So this has a Harry Potter theme. One of the consultants that I work with, she's a huge Harry Potter fan. And honestly, I didn't know anything about Harry Potter when I went into this. So I had to learn names. My son thought I was crazy because I didn't know anything about Harry Potter. But again, this is just another way to do a check-in. You know, emotional check-ins with kids. You think that's crazy, but really, it would be super easy to do. And you don't even have to say a word. After like a week with kids, you could, and you guys have that understanding of this is how this is going to work, this is how the schedule's going to go. Kids figure it out. They're perceptive. So whether okay, show of hands, so I'll know, like, what do you guys work with? If you work with individual kids, like you're a one-on-one with a kid, raise your hand. Okay. Like a bunch of us. And then if you're grade level, raise your hand. Like you work with a whole grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. Okay. And then if like you're in the special ed department and you move about and you're like the runner. then what do the other ones do? Because I want to be you.
She's a floater. I do it all.
A floater. All right. Don't you hate that term? Because, man, you're like a sub everywhere.
I do it all.
And how you're not duct taped in the corner at the end of the day, I don't know, right? That's me. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of know what I was talking to and who I was talking to. But easy to do, really, emotional check-ins with your kids. I had a Google form that my kiddos would put in at the high school level. You know, every morning they knew to come in, get their Chromebook, and do their emotional check-in. And that was because they were boys. And I'm not saying anything about boys, but I am saying that sometimes they're not morning people, and they didn't want to talk to us. So it was just easier for them to come in, do their morning check-in. 3 questions, real simple. How was your morning going? Is there anything you want to talk about? Yes and no's. And then that way, if there was something that the special ed teacher saw after he put it in and he's like, he's having a bad day, then he could do a little more investigating with him. But this is just yet another strategy that you could use with them. Hold up their hand and tell what number they feel. All right, so today I'm really going to try to hurry through this since we just have an hour and define emotional literacy for you. Connect emotional literacy practices to increase positive behavior. I'm probably in the way. Describe the stages of learning as it relates to the emotional literacy that we're talking about, and develop a plan for implementation. What is emotional literacy? Well, let's talk about it. Okay. As adults, this is pretty much common sense to us, right? We all had pretty good childhoods. We all had pretty good, no matter who's raised us, they taught us right from wrong. I'm super old, so it's like I grew up knowing all the church gossip and all that because I hung out with a lot of old people, and I was always in the back of the car listening. My ears were sonar, and I heard everything my mom and my grandma said. And when I heard this topic, I didn't really realize it was even an issue with kids. And then I started thinking, oh my gosh, when you think about it, little ones, especially preschoolers, when they're rolling in and sometimes you're the first person they've ever seen in any kind of educational setting, that they don't know anything about emotions. They know angry because that's about all they've seen at home. And we all know from working with kids that a lot of times they've seen about 2 emotions, and that's about and you do what you know and what you've seen. And so that's what they come to school and give us. And that's a lot of the reason why we have behavior issues. Someone didn't take the time to see that kiddo was depressed. Someone didn't take the time to figure out that he just didn't know what to do to express frustration or overwhelmed or excited. There's many different forms of happy. And so that's kind of what we have to do as adults. Figure out what our emotions are, get them in check. And a guy yesterday, I was in Moorhead, and I was it was like 3 women, 1 man in one of the sessions. And I was trying to be politically correct, and I was like, not that women are more in tune with their emotions. And I just kept talking, and he raised his hands. He goes, ma'am, I don't mean to disrail you. He's like, but I'm just going to be real honest. I was like 40 when I figured out how to speak about my emotions. He's like, so I'm going to say women are much more in tune with their emotions. And so it was really funny. And I appreciated that he said that, because I was just trying my best to, not stir the crowd. But a lot of times we will see that, guys come in, and that's probably why they have more behavior incidents than some girls. Although girl drama is real and it is rough. We all know that from having kids in school. But with boys, we do have to help them out a lot, and that's why they have behavior issues, because they just don't know what they're feeling, and then they'll have outbursts or whatnot. Emotional literacy is the ability for us to identify, understand, and respond to emotions in ourselves and others in a healthy way. Your ability to, yeah, I'm excited right now about it's Friday, school's out, it'd be great if it was a payday, and then I'm going to have Saturday and Sunday off. I'm going to be so excited, but I'm going to be able to compartmentalize that and figure out that I have to wait till 3 o'clock to be able to feel that way. It can't take over what I've got to do for my job today. And that we figure that out as adults, and we've learned it through our experiences in life. But kids don't always know to do that. And that's why we do teach it, especially to that preschool age. Preschoolers come in and they really don't know how they feel. They don't know how to show their emotions on their face, and they can't read them at all. Okay, so we do have 3 videos today. This one's really funny, so I will show you the first 2, and then at the end I may explain that one to you, because it just, for sake of time, we may not be able to watch that one, but I'll tell you about it. So this is a really good scene in Harry Potter where you have Ronnie Weasley and you have Hermione, and she is showing, and she just happens to be a girl, that she is showing she's much more in check with her emotions than him when they're talking about that scene where Harry had that kiss and he's describing it, and it's just funny. So let's take a look at that.
Well, how was it? Wet. I mean, she was sort of crying.
How did it, alright?
I'm sure Harry's kissing was more than satisfactory. Cho spends half her time crying these days.
I think a bit of snogging would cheer her up.
Don't you understand how she must be feeling? Paul, obviously she's feeling sad about Cedric, and therefore confused about liking Harry, guilty about kissing him, conflicted because I'm just rushing to sack her mom from her job at the ministry, and frightened of failing her OWLs because she's so busy worrying about everything else.
One person couldn't feel all that. They'd explode.
Just because you've got the emotional range of a teaspoon.
Why is emotional literacy important? I'm going to skip to this next slide and explain it. Okay, so we talk about them as strong feelings, big feelings, little feelings, depending on the age group that you're talking to. You just need to be able to help them understand what a big feeling is. So why is this important? We have seen over the years, and we've had time to collect that great stuff we call data. And what it has shown that when we teach this in the academic setting, and you're not teaching it as a curriculum, you're teaching it as a framework, like you teach your kids, your own children, the children you birthed, the children that you've adopted. You teach your own kids to mind their manners. It's funny because if my 3 children that are my biological kids were sitting here, then they would be like, I can't believe my mother is teaching about emotions and allowing kids to have emotions. No matter what your emotion is, if it's good, bad, sad, happy, frustrated, it's okay. You're allowed to have these emotions, because if someone tells you, like I used to tell my kids, you're not hurt, you're not bleeding, you don't need a doctor, you need to dry it up, let's go. And that was because I had reasons. And they would tell you, like she could tell you right now, I'm not hurt, I'm not, she could tell you all of that because my kids knew better. I knew they knew better. I had a good relationship with my kids. So when they're whining and they're throwing a fit, you know the difference between a kid who's throwing a fit because they're just spoiled and a kid who just does not understand how they're feeling. You know the difference. I don't care if you've been in education for a minute or 20 minutes or 20 years. So what emotional literacy skills are going to do when we teach these to kids and when we model them? We're going to have improved decision making, improved mental health, yours and theirs, academic and workplace success. You're going to be able to teach them that they can show empathy and that you have empathy toward them, and social responsibility. The biggest thing I could say that instructional assistants see way before teachers do, because you guys have a very important role with kids, because you all are the first face sometimes those children see when they get out of that car and come in. And you already know how we're going to be. Are we going to have a meltdown? Are we going to be rocking in the corner? Is he going to, lose it because he can't stand his first period teacher? He had a rough time at home. They had a rough time at home over the weekend, and they've already told you about it because they confide in you. That's probably the biggest thing that you're going to notice about kids, because you've already built that relationship. And if you've not, then I recommend that's probably the place you start. You build that emotional relationship with a kid. I'm not saying you have to be BFFs and go shopping and go to church together, but I do think that if they can respect you and you show your respect to them, then there's going to be less behaviors. I promise. Okay, children with those strong emotional literacy skills. This is very common sense. If we had the last slide, then we're going to have this slide. Greater academic achievement, more focused, healthier, less impulsive, have more friends, less lonely, tolerate frustrations, engage in less destructive behaviors, get in fewer fights, we hope. I will say that I just looked it up on my phone. Why do we teach social emotional learning? We hear about all these programs, especially since COVID, and who had to endure COVID when they were teaching in schools. Everybody have to endure COVID, or did somebody luckily skip it and they just started after COVID? Y'all lucky. COVID was rough, but it was rough on all of us. So we hear a lot about social emotional learning, SEL. And the thing that I found, that if you will not teach it, but have this framework that you live by and model. So we teach to be able to have our emotions in check. And then we're going to model good behavior. And then we're also going to model that our feelings are okay. And then we're going to maintain that and show that you can generalize that out of this setting that I'm in with you, but to move on to the classroom. That's what I'm talking about. So I went to my phone and I looked it up. Why do we have social emotional programs? And it said that data shows, now we've got time to, we've had a couple of years since COVID, and we've had a couple of years that we've had this social emotional learning that we've been talking about in schools, education. And there's an 11 to 13% increase in academic performance in kids when they have had that training. They have had that teaching and modeling and maintenance. And so the 13%, the higher end of that percentage, is when kids have learned it at a younger age. So like in early childhood, in preschool, and when that teacher starts teaching that and reinforcing it, then that's why that higher percentage is there. Okay, self-regulation is key. Being able to self-regulate, being able to know why I'm sad, and being able to not have to tell everyone about it. Being able to say that I have the ability to regulate my emotions and my behaviors. Most kids do that. That's why they're not in the principal's office all the time for the bad things. But there are a lot of kids, probably the ones that we have and we see every day, and that we are with, that don't always have that in check and don't always have that ability to figure out. What happens when children lack emotional literacy skills? Okay, so this is a really good example of what not to do. And in a second, I'm going to show you 2 scenarios, and we'll do a do and a don't. And this is definitely, well, I'm going to let you all choose if you think this is a do or a don't, how you would react to someone.
Look who's here. Ah, come and see the show.
You foul and loads and evil from cockroach.
Hermione, no. It's not worth it. Malfoy, you okay? Let's go. Quick, let's go. Run. Don't worry to anyone else.
That felt good.
How often do we want to do that? Yes, but do we? No. We want to keep our jobs, right? We don't want to go to jail. I always tell my son that he's 19, I'm like, you might want to, but you can't. Not at this age. So these are 2 scenarios we came up with for what you don't do and what you do in the same situation. We just happen to be talking preschool because, you know, I'm all about preschool. And the lady that I came up with these with, Allie's my daughter, and my daughter would so do this, and Liam was her nephew. So I won't talk through these and read them to you all, but basically they're in the block area, and Liam is playing with his blocks. Allie comes over, and she just happens to knock over his tower for whatever reason, I can only imagine, and Liam feels, you know, you get to get all the descriptive information here, that his skin's getting hot, his hands pull into fists, his belly starts feeling like it's shaking, mouth is clamped down, teeth gritted, all those things that we feel, but we don't always know why we feel them or what we're feeling. Liam keeps looking down at his destroyed tower. Well, then he looks up at Allie and he calls her an idiot. Allie begins to cry. Liam stomps off. And then there's 2 people mad. There's probably going to be an upset teacher because she's got to figure all this out in a second. And it's a mess. It's an emotional mess. But then the emotional literacy do what we should have done if we were Liam and Allie. Then Allie still came over and knocked over the tower that he was building. But instead of calling her an idiot and making her cry, Liam takes the high road, as I tell my son all the time, and he has an emotional check-in, and he decides that, yes, I am angry. I'm what that teacher told me the other day, that word angry, but instead of showing her and retaliating, I'm going to close my eyes, take some breaths, some deep breaths, and begin rebuilding my tower and ignore her. Planned ignoring, it's real. And it couldn't be more necessary, even as an adult with your own children. Do you ever have to do that? My mother had to do that a lot with me. I guess I was a difficult kid. And she would count, but she did a lot more than 3 deep belly breaths. She would count a lot. And she would count really high. Actually, that's how I learned to count. I would listen to her, and then I was like, okay, I can count to at least 25. And then I would go over, this is funny, because I would go over and she would be like doing this number, And I would go over and move her hands. I'm like, Mom, are you okay? And I'm sure that was not what she needed to see, was me in her face, because I guess I was just really rough. And she says I'm being paid back tenfold by my third kid. But anyway, what do children need to know about emotions? This is what's most important, I feel, about this entire thing. That specific words can be used for emotions and to describe the emotions. That feelings change. And if you do that emotional check-in, which I recommend with your kids, then you do it throughout the day. You don't have to feel the same way at 8, and then at 12, and then at 3. You might have 200 different feelings during the day. And you could have gotten an email, a phone call, and anything that can change things in a second for you. And then it's okay to feel that way. You can have more than one feeling about something. You can feel differently than someone else about the same thing. Every time I see that slide, I think of religion and politics. I don't know why, but the minute I see that, I'm like, you know what? It's okay that everybody has a difference of opinion. We just have to learn to accept that. That's hard for some people. And then all feelings are valid. It is what you do with them that counts. So for us to be able to say to someone, you're not allowed to feel that way, stop it, be done, is not how we should approach a situation. We can look at them and be like, you know what, why don't you try to calm down? And then when you've calmed down, then you can talk to me about it. And I find that if I had handled that 35 years ago like that, then I might not have been so angry and lost as many friends as I did when I was a kid, because, I just didn't know how to regulate my emotions back then. Okay, so this is just a neat slide to show you that there's lots of different things that happen. The thing that we learn is that what's happening with your eyes? What's happening with your mouth? All these different body parts that we all have, what's going on with it when you feel certain ways? And if you can start with yourself, so that means that when you're talking to a kid who truly has challenging behaviors, you're going to have to help them get in check. And a good way to start is, okay, why are you feeling this way? What's going on? Like, okay, I can tell by your eyes and that you're upset. I can tell by your mouth that you're upset. And these are things that you never really think about. I never thought about them until I was an adult and someone said, you need to think about what your stomach's doing. What are your feet doing when you're frustrated, when you're nervous? So like if we played a game and I threw this cube at you and then you caught it and you catch it on relaxed. How do I feel when I'm relaxed? So if I were to say that to you, how do you feel when you're relaxed? Like, let's think of your hands. What are your hands doing when you're relaxed? They're not like clenched. That's definitely. I'm not picking at them like I do and picked off all my fingernail polish, I'm probably, they're not sweaty because I'm chill. And so like if I were to, okay, so let's think of this. Jealous. How would you feel? Let's think of, would your feet really be doing anything if you were jealous? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, somebody asked me that, and I was like, I'd have to pass on that one. I don't know what my feet would be doing unless I was kicking somebody, because I don't like their dress or whatever. So, I mean, I might have kicked them. I don't know. I don't think my feet would be doing anything. Chest breathing, I don't know. Some of these things, I really don't know. And you know what? It's okay. If you're the adult in this situation, you're working with kids, and they ask you a question, then they're going to respect you more if you don't know the answer, to be able to just look at them and say, I really don't know the answer to that. But I'll find out. I may not have an answer by the end of the day, but it's certainly okay to leave this training and be able to say, she told us that we could say we don't know. and it's going to be okay. It is okay. All right. This is from challengingbehavior.org. And they have all of these really cool, big, little check-ins. They even have stuff like this. I just printed this. I didn't make lines and do all that stuff. So, and it's not for preschool. It's for any age. This stuff is from Lakeshore. I love Lakeshore. Has anybody ever been on Lakeshore? They have really cool stuff. And I don't get anything for it. I wish I did. But you don't get anything for saying how great Lakeshore is and challengingbehavior.org is. But they have a lot of neat stuff as resources that you can print for free. NCPMI is their national organization, but if you go to challengingbehavior.org, that's the same thing. It's just NCPMI is the organization that it's under. I have told so many parents where to go. I've even had to navigate like, okay, once you get there, then you go to resources. Once you get to resources, you have to put in exactly what you want in the search bar. And I will tell you that. This is a great website, but you have to know exactly what you're putting in. So if you want a feelings chart, put in feelings and it'll come up. Or something will come up and it'll lead you down that rabbit hole to where you want to find something. What's cool about this, relaxation thermometer. It has this resource that I printed, but there was also a blank one. So you could fill in the mad and the relaxed with 2 other emotions really quick. Or you could have these out, or if you're like me, you don't have a classroom, so you have a clipboard that you carry, or you have a bag that you carry, and then you have that as a resource so you can pull out really quick and be like, okay, where are you feeling? How are you feeling here? And then just having visuals for kids, doesn't matter how old they are, those visuals sometimes help someone, I need to get this in check. You're right. I mean, just the visual as a parent, you're driving down the road and you've lost it on your kids and you look in the back and you see them crying. I mean, you're like, oh, you feel an eensy bit bad sometimes. And that's your check-in. You know, sometimes just seeing someone else's emotions, you're like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And the older I get, the more I just say, maybe I shouldn't have said that. That's your check-in. So this is a backpack series. You see the little backpack, and up there it says addressing behavior. I just printed one. I really didn't go there for any reason. I just got on challengingbehavior.org. I looked up resources and I searched backpack because I knew about the backpack series. And what this is a neat thing that you can print off or have your teacher print off, have the office print off or whomever. If you're like us, there's like one color printer in the whole school and you have to go and be like, please let me use the color printer because printer ink must be really expensive. But you can find which backpack lesson you want to send home. That's why it's called the backpack. You send it to the parents because that maintenance and generalization that you need to be able to maintain is not at school necessarily. It's at home or once they leave those doors. Can they maintain this when they're not with you? Are they doing it when they're at lunch with their friends? Are they doing it in the student center? Are they being good when they're at the game in the gym? Are they being good when they're home? Are they being good to their grandma because she's the one raising them? But anyway, these just show different emotions that all these kids are doing. I hope they paid that kid because that was a really good board. But it just would be ways that you could cut these out and wear it as a lanyard if you wanted to. Can you see that? That's super cool. I mean, this kid is like hilarious. Oh, wait, let's see if I have it on this. No, we don't. I mean, I'm going to make that happen. But anyway, you could wear those, cut those out, put them on a lanyard, and then you could wear them around And if you're not addressing them, now these are calming strategies, but that's the lanyard I chose to bring. I have one for that. And if you just wear it around, I swear people will see it and they're like, oh yeah, she's got those emotions right there. And sometimes just the visual of knowing what's in this that you've already reviewed with them, sometimes they're like, yeah, I need to get in check. And then you'll keep a fight from happening in third period. Okay, self-regulation. I know we all want to lay on the floor and cry and kick and scream, but to be able to self-regulate is to recognize whatever emotion. We're going to say anger here for today, but we could fill in the blank with any emotion. Recognize it in yourself and others. To be able to calm down when there's emotions and they become elevated, any emotion that is, and then to use appropriate ways to express that emotion and other impulses. How do you do that? So, what does this look like in the classroom? All right, so you know how I've been talking about teaching it, modeling it, and generalizing it outside of that doorway? That's what this is, the stages of learning. So, the show and tell phase, this is kind of how we talk about it in the preschool setting. Show and tell, practice, and then you've got it. So that's the exact same thing of what I'm talking about. Acquisition, teaching, the fluency part of it. When you're modeling it, you're providing the kids lots of opportunities to check in, day out. I'm going to check in with you, see how you're feeling. Even if I have feeling pictures on the wall and we're checking in, that's just a visual for them to be able to look at so that they can remember, okay, I got to keep it together for another couple of hours, then I'm out of here. And then maintaining that skill once they're gone. Direct instruction. Visuals, we've talked about. This entire time we've talked about visuals. Visuals are so important for older kids because you pull a puppet out and you're probably not going to get very far with some older kids. They're going to think you're crazy. But I love puppets. But with younger kids, I don't know any preschooler, any 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old that doesn't love a good puppet. And role play. Ways that you can model for them the appropriate behavior. It goes so far for them to be able to see, because kids are perceptive. Whether we know it or not, they may have an IQ of 60, but they're super perceptive to know that you're having a bad day. And I'm probably going to try to stay out of your way, you know. But a good thing would be for them to be able to see that, man, she's having a rough day. It's Monday and she's not happy to be here for whatever reason, but she's keeping it in check and she's modeling how I need to be when I've had a bad day or whatever. Okay, literature. No matter how old or young, there are books. Books are a wonderful way, and I've got just a few that I threw out of my Hulking bag, which, boy, those things are awesome. I have learned. If you don't have one, they're awesome. All right, so I just threw some books in here, and there are tons of books, no matter what age you are. And books are a wonderful way for kids not to even have to be read to, but they can read and they can figure out what was going on in that book. Why was this kid feeling this way? And they don't have to necessarily self-generalize, like figure out how they're feeling, but it's really neat that they can figure out how Charlie was feeling in the book or whatever. And one thing, well, I'll show you guys. Playing games. Like if I had thrown that cube at everybody, or if you figure out like just emotional games, fun things to do with kids. Like I picked this up at the dollar store for, you know, the more than a dollar store. It's not a dollar store. So they're lying. And you get this, you get a bunch of fun stuff that you don't think they're going to eat if they're little, and you say, okay, how are you feeling today? Oh, you're feeling sad? Oh, okay. Well, then what color bead would you want to put in there? And then you let them help decorate their emotion potion. I don't know if I'd do the glass one. It's just the one I thought was cute and looked most like the genie bottle, that I watched when I was a kid. But you could print off, which I found online, images of potion bottles. I looked it up. And the coolest thing that I found was there were blank ones, black and white, but then there were ones with lines in them. And I thought, how cool would that be to do a writing prompt with a kid and to be able to say, all right, let's write what we would put down and list all the things that we would want to put in our emotion potion. What do you think it looks like to be happy? What do you think it looks like to be frustrated? And to be able to put colors to it. And again, I just went to the More Than a Dollar store and got a bunch of stickers and thought, kids could put beads, they could put little frilly things. I mean, I have too much fun in a craft section, so you could come up with lots of ways to help them be creative. And kids, boys, I have 2 boys, so that's why I say that so often and refer to it like this, but they think I'm so stupid when I want to do something like that. But when I take them to the pottery place and make them make something, they create the coolest mugs. They create the coolest dog that I have up. Yes, my dog looks like he has something wrong with him in his stomach area, but that's okay. My son was creative. Okay, emotional check-ins, we've talked about those. You can do those in many different ways. All right, this is ways to practice. We've taught it, now we're practicing it. We're modeling it. All of those different things. We have feeling buddies. They're all that color and they all have different faces. They're kind of neat. I have them, I just didn't bring them in because there's a ton of them. And I get it. They all have different emotions, so you can show them all. You could put them in your apron, which I brought today. I thought, man, para-educators, they're going to need to have a bag. They're going to need to have an apron. They're going to need to have something that is easy to get to. Because if you have little kids and you've got a busy one, maybe he has autism, maybe he's ADHD, maybe he has one of those many other acronyms they have out today, ODD, DMD. There's all kinds of different little acronyms that are facing us today. You have to have your arms and hands and fingers ready for the runner. And what better way to do than to have your bag or to have your apron on where you could put your resources in. You could put this in there so that you could get to it. And he's going to be able to get to it. And the minute he sees it, maybe this is what triggers him to chill out. You never know. What if it's bubbles? What if it's just his emotion potion that he made earlier and he can hear it jingle? And if you have a plastic one, little plastic bottle, even a water bottle that he drank out of earlier and it's free. A cold pack. You wouldn't believe how far a cold pack, this is old, but a real one that works, keep it around. Kids are like, they think they need it. No matter what. The kid with the Band-Aids that are all over his body because he thinks he has all these boo-boos. And then they can shake it and listen to it. I mean, you can come up with resources out of anything. You don't have to spend lots of money to do it. These calming strategies, challengingbehavior.org, they're free. If you want to pull them out, this would be ways that you could allow the kid, if you wore them, put them in your apron, or just had them hanging around. And the kid could go get them. And then if you went over them, the visuals there, even if they can't read, and then it shows them, okay, I could stretch right now. I could have happy thoughts. I don't want to do that. Yoga, I could do that. And you have to teach these things first before they're going to know what to do. But these are strategies that really would work. And if people will just take a minute You don't have to take a whole entire session to do yoga. You just take a minute to do some deep breathing with some kids. You're going to fix the behavior problems. And the reason I know that is because I've been doing this for 25 years. I've seen it all. I've been bit by it all. My hair has been pulled. I have been in the corner. Yes, I have safety crisis management. Why? Because we have to use it every day. I mean, been there, done that. And there's nothing that I haven't done that I haven't. If I expected it of my staff, then I did it too. Because we all got to know how to handle these kids. That's why I don't walk around in heels. Why would you do that anyway? But I don't own dresses. I mean, I do, but I do that for church. I don't do that for school because I know I've got to be dressed and ready to move. And that's how I've always lived, to be able to show my staff that I love them, and I'm showing my kids that I love them by being there. And I think that's how you guys, being here today, you all are wanting to learn more of how to, that's joking me, of how to be able to get in tune with your kids, how to help them. Oh, that's a Play-Doh mat that I have, and that is from free. If you will get on to Vanderbilt University and look up challenging behaviors, challenging behavior strategies, Vanderbilt University. Put those as keywords in, and you should be able to come up with it. If you can't, I'm going to give you, I'll do that now, give you my email, and then you can say, hey, I couldn't figure out what you told me to go to, and then I can send you the resource, the website. But I'm Ashla, Ashla. I think my sister meant to call me Ashley and she messed up. Dot VanHoose, VanHoose at Ashland, ASHLAND, KYSchools.us, just like you guys, but I'm in Ashland. So what we got to do, sharing with families, we've already talked about. Emotional literacy in adults, we've already talked about all that. I've been ahead of myself this whole time, haven't I? Okay, this is the one I'm not going to show you because what it is, it's Harry and he's chilling out on top of the ostrich or the animal that, what is it? Hippogriff. Okay, he's on that. And he's chilling out, and it's showing you as that calming yoga music is on, and he's on and he's happy and he's flying through the sky, and what you see is they're saying, deep breaths, Harry, deep breaths as you're flying through the sky. And I mean, I think that's the coolest way to end this, is to say that if you can take 3 deep breaths, then you can handle just about anything. All right, so I'm going to show you guys the, let me do that. Okay, I need you all, your emotion potion, I've already discussed that with you guys, but let's get to our QR code, please, and evaluate the session. Your emotion potion, please take a look at that, because that is another way that you don't have to get on the internet, especially if you don't like computers. And you'll see ingredients to use, materials to help you support self-regulation, emotions and feelings.